So I want to speak to you from a creator, a YouTube content creator perspective of a monetized YouTube content creator and content creator manager as I work on a variety of different channels, not just my own, many of which are monetized, have become monetized, and we're still getting more monetized by reaching the minimum subscriber count and hour count requirements. Now, as a disclaimer, I have not monetized the channel yet from shorts, but at the same time, I'm not interested in even trying because the payout for shorts is the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Now, granted, there are other opportunities out there, and there's multiple ways of monetizing your content and your channels besides just YouTube ad revenue. But in my opinion, YouTube ad revenue is the fastest and easiest way to produce the income. And if I'm looking to gain exposure, gain reach, build my brand, become more of an influencer, then in my opinion, YouTube's not the platform to do that. More so, I would say TikTok is that platform today, whereas Instagram used to be. Granted, there's still some value in Facebook groups, but Facebook and even Instagram being owned by Meta is not where I really want to spend most of my time. But either way, if you're watching this video, odds are you're wondering about what's happening to your channel, what's happening to the YouTube algorithm, what's happening to your views, what's happening to your subscribers, what's happening to your engagement. All things that I've noticed changing ever so slightly since around December of 2022. I can go into great detail on what actually happened because I think I know the exact time that they really made the switch because things got really, really weird. And since then, it has been making this gradual shift and change to where we are today, May of 2023. And I believe somewhere at the end of March, early April, they made a big change. And you guys probably can agree. Now, today, they're continuously making more tweaks and more changes. And I think they're all going in the wrong direction. Obviously, I'm going to say that because they're having impacts and affecting views and reach and the ability to go viral and ultimately earn revenue. Meanwhile, YouTube's division of Alphabet Group, Google, has seen a third straight quarter of revenue decline. Granted, they're still making like $40 billion, but in my opinion, the changes that they've made, the switch over and the new CEO taking in over Susan, is all going in the wrong direction. There's a internal struggle, a challenge of trying to decide and understand YouTube's identity that it doesn't have and has no clue what it should be. All being dictated by TikTok, really and truly, in my opinion. YouTube is trying to be TikTok, which makes zero sense whatsoever, especially for a platform that could potentially see a complete shutdown in the United States. Now, granted, if that were to happen, obviously TikTok viewership would immediately seek, higher ground, and that would more than likely be YouTube, without YouTube trying to be TikTok. But either way, I came across this article I want to share with you. I want to speak to the creators. I want to speak to the content producers, the script writers, the editors. I want to speak to everybody out there trying to grow a channel, grow a business on the platform, which was at one point in time very doable, which now seems even more difficult than ever before, despite all the added perks and benefits that potentially exist on the platform. Now, I do believe that it can still be done. I just think we have to go about it a completely different way. I'm going to give this information to you for free because this is what I enjoy doing. And I enjoy engaging with people who like doing what I do. And if you're that kind of person, please show your support and hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. I really would appreciate it. Interestingly enough, I find it very, very odd that, not naming names, not throwing anybody under the bus, but I find it very, very odd that multi-million, upwards of over 800,000, multiple million subscriber channels that are focused on building YouTube channels continuously produce videos about getting more views, getting more reach, growing channels, yet those videos don't get views and essentially are not getting the reach. And I am torn between YouTube suppressing this content, the viewers not being interested in this content, maybe the viewers not ever seeing this content, or these creators being full of crap and they don't know what they're talking about and they just want you to watch their video, dream and think and hope that you can do it, and quite possibly, more importantly, buy their course or join their membership and they'll show you how to do it. I'm not saying that they can't, but I am saying that the algorithm has changed, and I don't think anyone really knows anything about how to work this algorithm for the most part. Before it changed, I knew it. I can show you my other channels, and I literally could tell you before I ever recorded a video if it was going to go viral, if it was going to be a number one. I could tell you everything. The same rules do not apply today. And one of the key data points that I'm analyzing and seeing on YouTube Studio Analytics is the 48-hour views and the last 60-minute views. Go check them out. It's odd, but we also need to think back on what YouTube did. YouTube initiated this shorts push, heavy influence on shorts, and they even said, we've got the algorithm figured out where shorts can exist on long-form content creators' channels and not affect it negatively. Maybe they're right. But in my opinion, what they're doing is they're treating all content like shorts. Shorts usually have about a 24-hour lifespan for the most part. Maybe a week, maybe. But for the most part, it's a 24-hour lifespan. And that's a short period of time. Whereas long-form content used to have years. Well, long-form content usually had like weeks. But if you had the right content, you had years. And the right content meant evergreen content. Evergreen content is content that you create today that can ultimately continuously produce in perpetuity until who knows when, because it's always relevant. It's always of interest. It never goes stale. And I don't think that's the case anymore. I do believe that there is a way to navigate and ultimately produce, but it's not going to come in the form of recommended. It's not going to come in the form of suggested. It's not going to come in the form of browse, hitting the homepage consistently. And this is going to be extremely important for new channels, small channels. But I want to read this to you that I came across from the Daily Dot. And this is about Twitter. But what I want you guys to understand is that YouTube is a copycat. They don't know any better. They're literally leading the charge and trying to mimic everyone else at the same time. And that makes zero sense. But this is about Twitter, and it says that suggested content is taking over social media timelines. It shouldn't be difficult to find the kind of post that you want to see on a social media app. Yet, in my opinion, it is. It's very difficult. And it says here that suggested content has ruined the timeline. My feeds on various social media apps previously showed me content I wanted to see, like posts from people I follow. But now multiple companies are essentially copying TikTok's For You page, FYP, which shows you videos based on what other videos you engage with or watched, with mixed success. On TikTok, that means if you watch a couple of videos from Taylor Swift Eras Tour, you'll likely be served dozens of videos about Taylor Swift on your FYP. And yes, I'm basing that on personal experience. So, starts off with my feeds on various social media apps. So this is not just Twitter. In my opinion, I agree with this blog post writer, this author, and it says that it showed me content I wanted to see, like posts from people I follow. And YouTube has essentially blatantly said that subscriber counts don't matter anymore. And they've also manipulated the algorithm to not necessarily show you content from channels that you're subscribed to because they don't want that to influence your viewing. Although that's exactly why you subscribe to them, is because you want to watch what they create. And ultimately what that did was, in the past, it locked the viewers into the algorithm, into like a little bubble, like a little cage. And you would only see what your subscribers created and never really be exposed to anything else. But the biggest problem here is that they don't know how to mesh that in with a sprinkle of FYP. Previously, it used to be you would need 3, 4, maybe 5 videos of a specific alternative niche in order to rewrite your viewer avatar for the algorithm. And now you don't. And unfortunately, it says multiple companies are essentially copying TikTok's FYP for your page. And YouTube is one of them. Copying TikTok. Why would you do that? But if they're copying TikTok, then that just means that we need to then analyze the content that we create for YouTube based on TikTok's algorithm. We're going to get to that. It says Twitter's For You timeline is attempting to follow a similar strategy. And according to Twitter, when we identify a tweet, an account to follow, or other content that's popular or relevant, we may add it to your timeline. The company also claims that it doesn't recommend content that might be abusive or spammy, but users don't seem to like or agree with the algorithm's choices. So this actually happened to me this morning, and I woke up and I had a notification from Twitter. It was from an account that I don't even think that I follow on Twitter. But it provided me with some information about a tragic traffic accident in Atlanta last night. There was a dump truck and a few cars on fire stuck on I-85 right at Jimmy Carter Boulevard. Granted, I used to live near there, but why did I get that? Why did I get that? You know, obviously there's some very, very eerie surveillance and spying going on with our devices, with the algorithm, with technology that we've all consented to. But when you see it working, it really kind of makes you wonder. But at the same time, it says that users don't seem to like or agree with the algorithm's choices. And I'm on the fence about that one, because since YouTube's algorithm has made these changes. Now, Twitter's a little different story. Twitter, most of the time here recently, Twitter has been sending me suggested content that is 100% false, fake, lies, misleading, and sad to say, the very least. But YouTube has been, interestingly enough, sending me smaller channels, which is giving smaller channels an opportunity. It's giving them a boost. But there really is no consistency. However, at the same time, some of the channels that they are sharing with me and recommending are great, soon to be great, if they can navigate and work through this algorithmic change. However, when I look at like Twitter or Instagram, I have to agree with this author here, and it says that, or ask the question: is anybody else's For You feed on Twitter just violence and boobs? Instagram too. Now YouTube, meh, sort of. Not so much the boobs, but granted, there's a large collection of content on YouTube of women doing yoga and different acrobatics to entice the male audience for lead generation to their Instagram, which will then take you to their link tree, which will then take you to their adult content. I get it. But the violence, the separation, the division, the crime, the death, the destruction, the doom, the gloom, all over YouTube, all over. But then if you go on browse, maybe it's just mine. I don't know how it ended up this way, but if you go and browse on Instagram, all I see is like young women thirst trapping. I don't get it. But it says it's nothing but endless MAGA pundits and lawmakers. I don't know what algorithm you have Twitter using, but it's laced with garbage. I would agree. I think that pretty much all the algorithms are laced with garbage, which unfortunately is something that we need to be mindful of and take into consideration when trying to work with the algorithm, realizing that they only want to promote garbage, which means people only want to click on garbage, which means you may have to present your content as garbage. That's a slippery slope, folks, because I've attempted to do that, and I've seen varying success. But odds are, most typically will happen is that those interested in the garbage click on it and are served quality, and they're very upset, which leads to a poor like percentage, lots of thumbs down, even though you can't see it from a viewer's perspective. You can see it from a creator's perspective on the back end and analytics. Then you would think, well, maybe YouTube will adjust based on this feedback and data from the viewer. But no, it doesn't. It just punishes the creator. So, varying success. Now, I have had some instances where, depending on how I packaged and presented the garbage with title and thumbnail clickbait, which every title and thumbnail is clickbait, like if you agree. But early in the video, you kind of get to the point of how you got there and did that and what's going to happen next. Maybe you get lucky. But it's kind of like having a restaurant and you calling it a breakfast brunch restaurant and you advertising pancakes, and when people walk in, you're like, no, this is family style Italian. We only do dinner. Well, that's not what I really wanted for the most part. And some people will say, well, that's a pleasant surprise. You know what? I'll wait. And that's just not good business. It just makes zero sense whatsoever. But it goes on to say that Twitter users can toggle between the For You and following feeds, but users have complained that the app defaults to the For You timeline. The problem with the new Twitter timeline also gets a bigger problem with social media now. You can pick between people you follow or suggested content, but if suggested content is bad, people will switch to using lists or not even looking at feeds, which very, very important, folks. YouTube. What used to work, what used to be the standard MO, title or idea, hook, intro, title, I believe was the order. And if you nailed it all and you got past the 30-second intro or whatever, all that, you were pretty much on a good track. That's not the case anymore. And what this is saying here that I like to do, I like to analyze all the algorithms, because ultimately the algorithm is the people. Jimmy Donaldson said it himself. And I think he probably has quite possibly the best sense of idea of what's going on before anybody else does, probably before even YouTube does. But the algorithm is the people. So I don't care if it's Instagram, Meta, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I want to learn the people, because that's what the algorithms are attempting to try to do for the most part. I think TikTok's algorithm is trying to manipulate the people, unfortunately, but this is par for the course. This is the evolution of business and our society, sad to say, and it's on a decline, plain and simple. If you're not on that level, then unfortunately, you're quite possibly at risk of failure, because you're just leaps and bounds above and ahead of everybody else. And they're down here. They want to see, dance routines and fighting and arguments and wardrobe malfunctions more than helpful, family-friendly oriented, business building, wealth building, informational content that actually does good for society. Just my opinion. But if people are now going to switch to using lists and not even looking at feeds, then that tells me exactly what I had already assumed would be the case on YouTube, which is search. There was a point in time where essentially, if you were going to get a channel started, you had to break through search. You break through search, YouTube would assign your channel an avatar, an audience, and then you could begin creating content that didn't necessarily have to rank in search, and it would automatically be suggested and viewed and received well by your audience. But YouTube has essentially removed your audience from the simple standpoint of saying that the subscriber count does not matter. Subscriber count is a vanity metric that will earn you a plaque, but nothing else. Therefore, as the algorithm further deteriorates, driving viewership away and avoiding the homepage and avoiding recommended, they're just going to ultimately revert back to search. Now, search is where I've seen some of my greatest growth here recently, despite the changes in the algorithm. Slow and steady, but ultimately that equates to evergreen, which is in part why I created this video. I really want this video to rank in search for YouTube content creators interested in learning about the changes to the YouTube algorithm, essentially May 2023, spring, summer 2023, because I think a lot of people are scratching their heads right now like, what's going on? Nothing's working. And creators know. They know what works. They know their audience, or at least they did. And now it is so confusing. We need a collective group to, almost like our own Discord, to analyze what's happening and formulate our own solution, a game within the game that we can play and win. And I think that lies in search. And I think that this statement being made here that Twitter users will then switch to feeds or to lists and not even looking at feeds is essentially saying just that, search. They are going to create their own algorithm based on what they really want to see. And the creators that I see now that are still getting views are based on subscribers that search for them, that seek them out, myself included. There are many channels that I watch on a regular basis that I'm not even subscribed to. Why? I'm not a subscriber. I don't normally subscribe. I normally subscribe to my friends and channels that I'm researching. I remember the channels that I really want to watch. And typically I watch their videos all the way through. That's just me. That's my behavior. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. But it says that places like Twitter previously allowed people to connect with strangers from all over the world and find people with similar interests. But now, with the timeline harder to navigate, it seems that users are opting to see posts only from people that they follow. That's a shame, because Twitter was once a place to find weird and funny posts from new people, and change is not just happening on Twitter. Last year, Kylie Jenner asked Instagram to stop trying to be TikTok after it began to push more reels into users' feeds. It shouldn't be difficult to find the kind of posts that you want to see on a social media app, but it is. And this is TikTok, this is Twitter, this is Instagram, this is YouTube. The problem isn't you. as a creator. The problem isn't the content that you're creating, which is quite possibly better than any content you've ever created before, as you're trying to up your game to appease the algorithm and reach the audience that you know that you deserve. The problem is the algorithm. The problem is that these companies all want to be something that they're not, which is ultimately TikTok, which is, in my opinion, a minority of what most creators create, not the trash and crap that you see on TikTok, not the, original audio dance through, everybody copies a dance. Like, YouTube is about being creative and sharing your creation with the world. And it used to be a place where you'd hit the homepage and be pleasantly surprised with what you are presented with based on your true interests. But instead, now you're being forced to ingest and absorb this content that only the platform wants you to see, which is quite possibly of zero interest to you, which then puts the creator in a strange space, thinking, I've done something wrong. Maybe I need to stop doing this. Maybe I need to switch platforms, or whatever it may be. While that also puts the viewers in an equally strange place of, well, I'm not seeing what I want, so I just won't be here anymore, which is going to create a vacuum within YouTube and ultimately destroy it if they don't stop doing what they've been doing quickly. Unless they only want their audience to be, an adolescent, young, impressionable mind, which odds are I don't think that that's the case, because the $40+ billion that YouTube could potentially earn annually is not going to be supported for their advertisers who pay them by that audience. It's almost like it's so simple, it's so easy, it's so basic, yet so foreign and complicated for them. I don't know how they can't wrap their mind around this. But for you and I, the possible solution is rank and search. Rank and search, rank and search, rank and search. Evergreen content for the people interested in what you're creating. Not so much trying to deliver the garbage or wrap it up in a package that appears to be garbage just to get served, because ultimately you'll be served to the wrong audience, which is this. It'll just then tear you down even further with the algorithm and quite possibly the engagement and comments that you receive, as the information you're trying to share is going to the wrong people. Trust me, been down that road. Rank and search, rank and search, rank and search. Clear and concisive, target your audience. Go back to the beginning. Go back to how it all started. Rank and search. I think that that's going to help improve the 48-hour views. It's going to help improve the 60-minute views. You may not see this rapid viral climb, but you may see a slow and steady, consistent growth over time that will pay dividends for the work and effort that you guys are putting into each and every video that you create all day long. That's just my opinion. I'm going to continue to monitor this from my end, from my channel, my channels, all the other channels that I'm engaged with, but I'm seeing similar statistics on multiple channels in multiple different niches, in multiple different categories, with multiple different audience groups and avatars, and it's all the same. The only constant is that everyone is getting somewhat served a raw deal, suppressed, but not because of what they're making, but because of how the algorithm is essentially trying to catalog their content, but also align with this TikTok mentality of 60-second, 24-hour lifespans that doesn't apply to all content. But again, I've seen the best results from content that ranks high in search. And this is when you look at your analytics and you check your reach tab. And I'm seeing that search can be anywhere from 25% to even 50%, maybe even 80% of where my traffic's coming from. And these are the videos that continuously get views over long periods of time, months at a time, and grow the most subs and quite possibly bring in the highest CPMs. If you got any comments, questions, concerns, any experiences of your own, by all means, please feel free, drop a comment down below, let me know. And I wish you guys all the best. Keep creating, keep working hard, keep your head up. Don't let this get you down. Don't let the algorithm discourage you. And I'll be back with another update soon. Thanks for watching. Please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. You guys take care. Be safe.